All right, good morning, guys. Or, sorry, good afternoon, as of the time I'm putting this episode up. Today is Sunday, February 21st, 2021. I can't believe I was just about to say 2012. Don't ask me why. You know when randomly some things just pop into your mind? So anyways, let's get into it. There's a lot to cover. Nothing like super substantial, but, well, okay, fine. I guess arguably substantial, but... I mean, at least the media in the West doesn't seem to be jumping all over it the way they do when they cover Trump. And I don't mean to bring him up, it's just where my mind goes in general. I apologize if I sound a little wiped out. Been focusing on a lot of content for the main episodes, and also did a live stream yesterday with you guys. And for those of you that jumped on, thank you so much. We're going to do it every Saturday. I just didn't realize how tiring it was. So right after this, I'm going back to sleep. But anyways, let's get into it. So first off, this is something that the Western media is not really reporting, but Amazon altered the timing of certain traffic lights in Alabama in order to prevent or derail a unionized Amazon meeting. So a lot of people know this. Amazon and Jeff Bezos don't want to get unionized, although, with the amount of money they have, a union will not hurt them by any stretch of the imagination. It'll only help the workers. The way they're kind of keeping the unionization away is by increasing the minimum wage or the wages of the factory workers. Some of you watching or listening may in fact work at an Amazon factory, and depending what part of the world you work at it in, it ranges all the way and I know this for a fact because I have some family that work at Amazon. It ranges all the way from fantastic working conditions to sweatshop-like conditions, and you barely have time to have your lunch break. I hear both stories and both sides depending where. So it's interesting to see. I mean, we know that Amazon, and I'm not trying to start a conspiracy here, I just want to call it as it is. We know for a fact that Amazon has been awarded multiple contracts to control and handle, I think, something like 70 or 80%, if I'm not mistaken, of the election software. And this isn't anything new to 2020 or 2021. This is even before that. But I mean, I also know for a fact that they also have access to control certain stoplights and things like this. So I know this for a fact to be true. The mainstream media will probably deny it if it even gets to that point. But again, I do want to put it out there. And it's not for me to tell you guys what to think about it. It's just for me to tell you guys what's happening. So the next thing is that, as I'm sure most of you know, Ted Cruz, senator of Texas, went to Cancun with his family, and then he took a flight right back, saying that he just went to drop them off. And the whole thing about the criticism is that, during the time of all this snow and stuff, why did he go? He tried to play it off. It was kind of funny. He was wearing a black face mask at the airport until he realized that the media spotted him. Then he put on a Texas face mask. Look, all politics aside, I just find it funny. The only thing I do have to say, and I'm saying this because we got to be fair, the Cuomo story about Cuomo covering up stuff and him getting grilled by reporters yesterday, the day before at his daily noon press conferences, is not getting nearly as much coverage as the Ted Cruz thing. Now, yes, both are equally as bad, but I would dare to say Cuomo's responsibility for possibly more deaths is way worse. Now, apparently there's going to be a federal inquiry into what's going on with Andrew Cuomo there, but I mean, the fact that the media covers Ted Cruz way more than Cuomo's situation just goes to show you the biasness. And I'm not trying to take a stance left or right. For those of you who know me, know how I am. I just got to call it like it is. When I see the data, and you guys can see this too if you look it up, that the Ted Cruz story, which doesn't look good on Ted Cruz. We got to be honest here, right? We got to call it what it is. But when we see that that's getting roughly 5 to 7 times more coverage by the Western mainstream media than the Cuomo story, you know that there's a liberal bent, a liberal bend there, right? And if it was the other way around, by the way, I would say the opposite. I would say the same thing, absolutely. So the next thing is that NASA successfully launched its rover on Mars, and the online memes were pretty funny. So the whole thing with the rover, I did cover this in the live stream last night. A lot of people asked. Some of you guys asked me about this, and I said, look, for those who are in the dark on it at NASA and things like that, this is a fantastic feat for humanity. But at the same time, if you guys watch the afternoon episodes, you probably understand that based on what we discuss and based on the evidence we present, you'll know that I'm not really surprised. In a lot of ways, I'm kind of disappointed that humanity is kind of falling for this, when really deep down with the black budgets, programs and all that, they have tech way better than this kind of stuff, right? So I'm disappointed. At the same time, I try to be a glass half full, a positive person. For the people that work at NASA that really have no idea what's going on, I'm not saying I know more than them. I'm just saying I don't want to take away the hard work that they did. So I do want to be fair there, right? The next thing is that Reddit and Robinhood testified in front of Congress regarding the GameStop situation about a month and a half ago. Time goes by quick. But look, the way I see it is very simple, guys. These hearings, these congressional hearings, these Senate hearings, these oversight committees, all that crap, it all looks good for the press. But then what happens after? Nothing. So if nothing changes, I mean, what's the point, right? And I think I mentioned this in the live stream yesterday too, which, by the way, we'll be doing the live stream every Saturday at around 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The next thing is that Kim Kardashian filed for divorce from Kanye. Look, I'm not going to spend more than 10 seconds on this. We saw it coming. Good for them. If they're better that way, then let it be. They're just human beings like everybody else. That's why I don't want to put them above other people. So let's move on. This is interesting. A professor, according to Business Insider, a professor in Mexico takes heroin in very small doses to help him with stress. He said if taken very moderately, it's fine. And now I do want to say, I'm not defending his argument here, but as we all know, just like with anything in life, everything in moderation is good, is okay, right? Whether it's alcohol, you name it. Well, okay, you know what I mean, right? But anyways, I see his point with what he's saying in a lot of ways, because when you think about it, and I'm not trying to encourage heroin at all, heroin usage, consumption, not at all, not even slightly. But if we take a totally neutral stance and we call it like it is, what's the big difference between him microdosing heroin and the pharmaceutical companies pumping opioids into people like you and me whenever we have a problem, especially in the West? You know what I mean? So that's the way that I see it. And I'm not trying to be, I'm not trying to be the guy that says, whataboutisms and things like that. But again, as I always have been saying very recently, we got to be consistent. We got to call it like it is. We cannot criticize this professor. Meanwhile, the pharmaceutical companies are pumping out opioids like it's no problem. The politicians don't go after them because the pharmaceuticals donate millions and millions to both sides every year, right? The next thing is that a U.S. plane engine debris fell over and fell atop of Denver homes in Denver, Colorado. Pretty embarrassing, and that's not, if there's people on that plane, pardon my English, fuck me, man. That's not good. Especially, I don't know what company manufactured this particular plane. I think it was a Boeing. I could be wrong. Please correct me if I am. With that being said, though, the thing about all of that is Boeing has had a recent, very sketchy track record of approving certain planes, and then they're about to take off, and then something happens, and they're like, thank God it didn't take off, because after they inspect it, after they realized there was still a mistake. Like, I don't know, man. Like, I know people are human in the sense that everyone makes mistakes, but how many times over are you going to make these mistakes? The next thing is that, okay, this is interesting. The UAE, the United Arab Emirates princess, her name's Latifa, Princess Latifa, if I'm not mistaken, the one who tried to escape 2 years ago and then got put, if I'm not mischaracterizing this, she tried to escape roughly 2 years ago, and then she got caught. It didn't work. I believe her mother or cousin or something like that got away, or I forgot, something of the sort, or friend or something. And anyways, ever since then, she's been in a villa with, according to her, windows that are barricaded. She can't even get fresh air. One of her friends, allegedly, who is allowed to go see her, smuggled in a cell phone for her to send a message. But we have to be vigilant. Let's call it what it is. We have to ask ourselves. Sorry. We have to ask ourselves, is this an intelligence play? Is this did the UAE kill her already? I mean, we have to call it we have to ask it like it is, right? And it's sad if they did. Did they kill her? Then they put this video out after to distract the public. They've been known to do this. I mean, who was it that there was a journalist that got beheaded or something like this? But anyways, the point though is that the reason why Western media, for those listening or watching in Europe or Africa or Asia, maybe you'll see more of a better context here. But those in North America, the reason why the media barely covers it, and I'll tell you why. They do, but nothing substantial, not enough where it sits in your mind like other things, is because the United States does a lot of business with the Saudis. Right. So again, it's very interesting to see. Now, again, there could be an intelligence factor at play here, and maybe they don't want the intelligence community, which they do often. They tell the media not to cover certain things, but at the same time, I'm not here to defend that either, because they have a very bad track record, at least publicly. Right. So again, we got to call it like it is. The next thing is that Navalny, Putin's political opponent, has been fined and charged for defamation and slander, and his appeals got overturned by a court in Moscow. Now, look, we can argue if a court in Moscow is is legitimate or not. People say we all know that the courts are corrupted and things like that. And the argument could be made the other way around about the courts in the West or some courts in Europe. So we got to be consistent. And we have to say, listen, as a peer, as much on a front end as the United States makes their courts seem to be legitimate, I mean, a lot of people, left and right, believe that not just with basic low-level criminal stuff, but even high-level things like this, they agree that the justice system needs reforming because, again, it has to do with a lot of things: money in politics, connections, who you know, what friends you have, what friends you don't have, right? So all those kind of things. It's unfortunately a chess play in a situation where the courts should be totally neutral. I mean, think about it, guys. For those that disagree with me, I respect that. But when you look at, for example, things like the FISA court or the FISA court that was secret until Snowden revealed it. There was a secret court for things that were secret. So how is that constitutional in a lot of ways, right? And it isn't. They don't care. At least from my perception and understanding of the Constitution, right? If I'm wrong, please do correct me because I don't want to be incorrect and feed incorrect stuff to you guys. The next thing is that Gina Carano was interviewed on the Ben Shapiro show that came out just today. And to be honest, yeah, she sounds exactly like I thought she would. I haven't really heard her talk much, to tell you the truth. I think a lot of her characters in the films she's played didn't speak much, at least from what I've seen. I believe she was in Deadpool. She didn't talk that often. I think she played a villain. I have not seen her in, I think it's The Mandalorian with Disney, I think. I haven't seen her in that, and I haven't seen The Mandalorian. So that's why when you kind of look at someone and you haven't seen them talk before, guy or girl, and you just think, oh, this person might sound like this in your mind. She came out exactly as I thought. So I don't know why I even brought that up. But anyways, the next thing is that Libya's interior minister survived an assassination attempt outside of Tripoli by unidentifiable shooters. Is it Israel? Is it other countries? We don't know. Look, these things happen, and I'm not trying to just blow it off. What I mean when I say that, guys, is that these instances happen in the Middle East. When you take these positions, you better assume that you might be assassinated, especially in the Middle East. And it's a terrible thing to say, but it's true. We have to, again, we got to say it like it is. It's true. I mean, when there's assassination attempts, not often, granted, fine. But when there are assassination attempts on, American, Canadian, Russian officials, Chinese officials, let me think who else, a bunch, African officials, you can bet your ass, pardon my English, that in the Middle East, especially in a lot of places that are not stable whatsoever, you're going to have problems, right? The next thing is that the U.S. put some sanctions on Iran, which inflicted, it affected $1 trillion worth of Iran's money. I think some of it's invested in the States, or I don't know. But look, some people have asked me, Dave, what do you think of the sanctions? Not just these sanctions, just in general, when the U.S. puts sanctions on certain countries. I mean, look, I think it's all a chess game. I think sanctions are expected before a politician even makes a move. Sometimes they're wrong, sometimes they're right, just like in a game of chess. The question is, how sharp are you at the time that you're going to execute your move? If they're okay with the sanctions, then so be it. If they really care, if in this case with Iran, if they really care about making a nuke more than anything and enriching uranium and then going underground to the point where there's no return after, they cannot be stopped after that in terms of the U.S. or Israel going after them, then look, I got to tell you, then that's what it is, right? It's unfortunate, but that's what it is. And I say unfortunate, not in the sense of them enriching uranium. Again, I have a lot of Iranian friends. It's the regime that we're speaking about here. It depends where you stand on this, right? And like I said before, realistically, the problem with a diplomatic approach that Obama tried about, let's be nice, let's sign a nice deal, let's shake hands, is that realistically, Iran might sign that deal. But then what if they just have another base in another location somewhere hidden where they're still enriching uranium? You know what I mean? And I'm not saying that it's these types of calm diplomatic deals are pointless. I'm not saying that. And I'm also not saying we should get violent. Absolutely not. What I'm saying, however, is that we have to be vigilant because, I'm not saying Obama wasn't, but it seemed like he calmed down a lot after he signed that Iran nuclear deal, which is understandable, but you still have to keep an eye on them, And I would say this not just for Iran. I say this for North Korea. I say this for a lot of different countries, a lot of different officials, right? And I would dare to argue that other countries should be keeping an eye on the West more than anything because we're the ones that screw things up, sadly, a lot. A lot of times we make things right. Don't get me wrong, but a lot of times we screw things up. Let's not kid ourselves, right? The next thing is that Israel started reopening their country as nearly half of the country's population got the vaccine. Again, this is where I stand on it. Very simple. Just like in Texas, a small time mayor in a local town in Texas was removed because I think she said that she disagreed with didn't want to give the vaccine to her people, or didn't want to lock down or something like that. And then federally or on a state level, someone got involved and removed her or something like this, or she resigned. I forgot. Anyways, the point is this. Certain towns, certain countries, certain regions. Simple. Get all the people together, not physically. Ask them online or whatever. Make a quick app, just a simple, or do a freaking social media survey. Very simple. Who wants to take the vaccine? And look, maybe my system is flawed here. I'm talking about more like small towns. Now, with countries like Israel, I guess, but the whole point here is who wants to take it? Simple. If you don't want to take it, don't take it. And if the virus is real, then you're taking a chance, and you know the chances, and that's it. You have the legal right to do it. If you want to take it, then by all means, come take it. If you don't care about, the whole thing about being tracked and things like this, take it. And I'm not trying to be sarcastic. I genuinely mean it. Like, if you want to take it, I got nothing against that. But if you also don't want to take it, I totally get that as well, right? And the next thing, and again, I always try to be consistent with that, but the next thing is, let's see here. I just got an alert from Business Insider. It says Texas residents are ending up with $5,000 electric bills after the winter storms. I guess assuming that's true. This is just the big corporations trying to screw over the little guy. That's what it seems like. I guess that until I look into that more, I don't want to comment any further, assuming that's the case, but I could be wrong. The next thing is that 7 people were killed in Nigeria, a military aircraft that crashed near Abuja airport. Look, that's unfortunate to see. I got to tell you that when I hear those things, it's very sad to see. These things happen. No matter how high-tech certain things are, these things happen, right? So it's very, very sad. The next thing is, or the final thing, is that 2 explosions in Afghanistan killed at least 3 people. Look, the thing with Afghanistan, and I don't mean to sound xenophobic or racist or anything like this. I'm just going off of the facts, or at least based on what we know. It doesn't surprise me. I mean, suicide bombers, they have decreased in Afghanistan, but it's still going on, so it does not surprise me. That's all I have to say about that. But anyways, guys, I'd like to thank you so much a trillion times over for the live stream yesterday. Had a great time. And for those that are watching this, thank you so much. And I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your weekend. We'll catch you guys tomorrow morning. Cheers.